powered by Adobe on delivering superior shopping experiences to your customers. Uh, the pandemic has changed the way we shop. The pandemic has changed the way we retail, and experiences still remain the USP for every retailer. That is the competitive edge. And here we are with industry stalwarts together to discuss how to deliver superior shopping experiences to your customers. I welcome our panelists for the day, Mr. Avnish Kumar, Managing Director, Neeru's; Dharmender Khanna, Head Digital Transformation, SSIPL Retail Limited;
Right.
Nicholas Kontopoulos, Head APAC DX Commercial Marketing, Adobe; Nikhil Ranjan, CEO, William Penn; and our moderator for the day, Abhinav Johri, Director, Digital and Technology Transformation, EY India.
Good afternoon.
Over to you, Abhinav.
Thank you very much, Shiv, for welcoming all. So once again, on behalf of my panel members and myself, welcome everybody. Thanks for taking out time to join us. We have got some fantastic, professionals from the sector and also from the product and advisory firms like myself. And there's a bunch of experience sitting out there to talk about what's happening in the sector, especially from the past 8-9 months, the way things have changed, especially from the pandemic standpoint. So some of the key points we wish to touch base in today's discussion centered is around customer experience. We all have appreciated the fact that customer experience particularly has itself undergone an outlook change from the way it used to be, from the way it can be. So the art of possible has really come up the way it was never seen before. And with this, before I really get into the center of it, let me just request my panel members to introduce themselves. I will go, Shiv, your screen has gone out. So I will go with the way I'm looking at my screen. So Nicholas, starting from you, if I can request a minute of intro, that would be helpful.
No problem at all. Hi, Nicholas Kontopoulos. I've got the great privilege of heading up Adobe APAC marketing for our commercial business segment in the DX portfolio. I came into Adobe via the acquisition of Magento a couple of years back. Former background is in with SAP for 10 years and other industries beyond that. But looking forward to having a really great conversation with this esteemed panel. So looking forward to it.
Thanks. Thank you, Nicholas. And I welcome personally. Nikhil, keen to know a minute of intro from yours as well.
Yes, thank you, Abhinav, and it's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. I'm Nikhil Ranjan, the founder and managing director of William Penn. We are a little more than 18 years old. We set up our first store in Bangalore. We are well known for our collection of writing instruments, business accessories, and premium stationery. We source and retail brands from around the world. And of course, we have been online for the last couple of years. And it's been tough and interesting over the last 8-9 months. And I look forward to sharing some of my views over the next couple of minutes.
Thank you, Nikhil. Welcome again. Dharmender?
Hi, Abhinav. Yeah, so thanks, Abhinav, and thanks, RAI, for organizing this seminar. My name is Dharmender. I head digital transformation in SSIPL Retail Limited. It's a 2-decade-old organization in very large retail footprint for sports brands in India. We also have manufacturing unit for manufacturing all international sports footwear brands in our factories in Kundli, Paonta Sahib in Himachal, and what we sell on our retail stores is Nike. Lotto is our licensee brand in India. We have a concept called Sports Station, which is an MBO for niche sports category. And we're master franchisee for Levi's also in India. So this is what we do. And in digital transformation, we've done a lot of work in last couple of, I'll say quarters, not years. And I'd love to speak about them in next few minutes.
Thank you. Avnish, over to you.
Thanks, Abhinav. Thanks, RAI, for getting this on, I think, in such a convenient time for all of us to be a part of it. Just to give you a feedback, Neeru's, we've been here in the field for about 4 decades, for over 4 decades now. So, and we deal in the Indian ethnic wear, the Indian wear to be precise. And we are here with more than 100 points of sales and doing retailing with more than about 3 lakh square feet pan India. We also have a footprint abroad. So we have a flagship store in Dubai apart from the Indian presence. And we are there in more than 20 cities, metro, tier one, tier twos. And we work with a lot of large format stores, also with the marketplaces. And now, of course, the new word, which is Omni-Channel. So we're trying to figure out things to be syncing in every format that we are in. And excluding that, we also have very fancy 3 flagship stores of Neeru's, which are about 20 to 30,000 square feet each, and all dealing in Indian ethnic wear. Yeah.
Great, perfect. Thanks for introing up, sets the tone, and richness is pretty visible. Let me just take a quick minute to, as I mentioned, to context set, and then I'll come to respective speakers. And a little bit about myself. My name is Abhinav, and I've been with the firm Ernst& Young for about 14 years. Pretty much born and brought up here. And I, in particular, lead the digital and tech advisory practice for the South and the West as a region. Personally speaking, I'm a teacher as well, and I'm an adjunct faculty at a couple of IIMs in the country and some of the colleges in Southeast Asia, specifically teaching the subjects around technology and business models. And I'll be the moderator for today. Well, as I was mentioning, see, in broad sectoral experience, the customer per se and the customer strategy and the experiences which strategy needs to deliver in the retail sector has undergone a massive change. I remember from speaking from my professional experience before COVID-19, because I believe it's a good time cutoff pre-COVID and post-COVID. Post-COVID, we are still to see a lot what happens. But in pre-COVID, I still remember speaking to many retail businesses across the country, and technology adoption still used to be a back office conversation, and at least we never saw a great enthusiasm amongst the retail stores many years back, of course, wherein people really thought, is it about customer, is it about a product? And I think since the time most of the giant e-coms have started coming into the country, the technology has become a bit affordable. Open source technologies have taken a big great adoption among the uh, CIOs and CTOs driving those firms. We did have seen a change in the way retail's businesses want to approach the customers. We also have heard a very common theme that know your customer. So therefore, customer data, customer profiling, customer segmentation is very critical to the way we do the business. And if we were to increase the footprint, if we were to increase the wallet share, if we were to acquire newer customers, increase the customer stickiness, and all those kind of aspirational aspects, we always believed that we needed to do more than a physical store, more than meeting and greeting the customer. And I think somewhere in the spirit of knowing the customer more and chasing one of the key business metric, technology did prove to be one of the enabler. And over past few quarters, Dharmender, you did mention about your own journey in brevity. I would admit we have seen variety of retail stores who have become more open, it's in the conversation side, to listen, to adapt, and at least to reach to a stage where they are now very willing to do proof of concepts, to at least dabble in the technology area to see it is really material for their own businesses. And then there are advanced, mature retail business houses who have done a lot in the technology space before, and they now want to see what more can they do given the market what they operate in. But my biggest learning after I have spoken to many CXOs, especially retail sector, is that this conversation, in my mind, needs to either fit to the growth or to the value. One of these two category need to be fulfilled if somebody is thinking about technology, somebody is thinking about customer experiences, or somebody even thinking about how do you extend, augment the shopping experience for your customers. So either that must fit into a value category for the customer and for the provider, or it has to result into a growth. And then we can debate about what's ROI, what's the cost, so and so forth. So I think that's some of the pointers which I personally have seen in the market. And with this, let me get started. With the actual discussion with the panel, and I'll come to Dharmender and Nikhil first. Dharmender, I'll start with you since you give me a good segue into the discussion. You did mention about your couple of past quarters journey. The way I would articulate is that we have been through 8 or approximately 9 months of our time during pandemic, and we have seen it all. We have seen businesses shutting down. We are now admitting and witnessing businesses coming up, albeit a bit of a less footprint. But I'm very keen to know, and let me start with Ramin, with you first. What are the feedbacks, what are the inputs which you are listening from your own customers about the preferences or the choices which they or which has undergone a change in past over 8 months? What new patterns you are seeing emerging from your own business models and the business stores you have? How have you taken this into account in order to think about post COVID or pre post COVID, I would say, in order to revive the business?
Thanks, Abhinav. And you rightly said, I'll start with what you just touched upon. Pre-COVID, the discussions around technology adoptions were taken by CTOs and CEOs,
Yeah.
and now decisions are taken by COVID. Is making those business digital transformation business decisions happening. And see, last 9 months has been totally roller coaster. First month of lockdown was zero sales, and what we did was we kept on reaching out to our customer segments, and the first basic goal was to reach out, understand their safety. Then we start having content which was based on home fitness. So people are at home, and we're a sports brand and a fitness brand, and we kept on sharing fitness. And there was two-way. People were sharing content with us, which we were posting. So there was contest, and then we realized, okay, let's do some monetization. We had some coupons, and people loved it and bought it. So you can buy a coupon at a special price, uh, you know, 4,000 rupees worth of shopping at just 2,499. And our regular customer just loved it. And those coupons are valid till 31st of March 2021. And during the lockdown period, when everything was closed, we were still generating some revenues because our
Yeah.
dedicated customer who were following us and who were interacting us through some content and some sharing. We were sharing some value to them. They were sharing some value to us in terms of fitness videos. There's idea suggestions on our social pages. Those things happened, and we generated some revenues out of also revenues out of them. Uh, Post lockdown, uh, immediately there was a spurt in requirement of fitness products, you know, but mostly it was slippers, slides, shorts, t-shirts, because people were at home. This is what they wanted. So much so that we had to have some apps and some tools to create an appointment in the store, because you had some restrictions. You can't have more than 5 people in a
Yeah.
1,000 square feet stores, and there are three staff itself, 3 or 5 staff. So certain point of time we had to have maintain some queues and hygiene. There was much of a scare, and ambiguity and fluidity, that we had to make sure less people comes in. So that gives a thought or adoption of QR code based shopping, WhatsApp based shopping, video based shopping, and people were so comfortable because they wanted something, ordering from the comfort of home, ordering from outside the store, take the delivery, and go off. So a lot of roller coaster. Eventually, once things opened up, there's a lot of demand of running shoes now, a lot
Yeah.
of demand of fitness gear, fitness products, fitness clothes, and that's, I think, will continue to stay now. And I think we were always there in terms of sportswear, athletic wear, and fitness wear. The adoptions were increasing from last couple of years, when we were seeing a spurt of India's medal tally in the global events as well. That was also resulting in the demand for these products in our stores. So I think post COVID, that demand has, for us, has been really awesome.
I see. And I'll pick up some cues from here. And I want to bring Nikhil. Nikhil, see, the kind of business which you mentioned you are in, and we all appreciate that, such a differentiated, such a niche and such a specific use business it is. It will be very interesting to know that how have you updated your own ways of working, and has it taught back anything which you must change in your product, the way you must modify your store mix or maybe operations? What more can be done in the writing instrument as a product category? Some thoughts from your side.
Sure. Thank you, Abhinav. So, I mean, if I look back at what happened 8, 9 months ago when everything suddenly came to a grinding halt,
Yeah.
our first priority really was to try and figure out what next. So we really came together and said, okay, how are things going to come back on track? How are things going to evolve? How are we going to look at the future? So that's where we started. We started with a white sheet of paper and said, okay, now let's assume that this is how things will move going forward. And then we looked at what we are going to do in terms of how our response is going to be to the new world that was emerging. Of course, we did not have all answers. We still don't have all answers today, but we had to go by what we believed would happen. So the first step for us was really about looking at how we can repurpose our resources in the COVID world. And one of the key decisions that we took was to see how we can use our large manpower who are store staff to become available through the telephone, through WhatsApp, through video, and so on to customers. So that has been very successful. Of course, we've had challenges with training. We've had challenges with technology. Our store staff were very used to selling face to face, but now they had to sell over the phone, over the video, and so on. So that was one of the key things that we had to do in terms of repurposing our infrastructure, largely manpower. The second thing that we looked at was, what is it that we need to prioritize in technology in order to be relevant, in order to make the customer experience a lot better, and so on. We've had our web portal for the last 5, 6 years, and it has always been there. But all of a sudden that we realized that the web portal or the website was the center of everything that we were going to do. And yet we were bombarded by this huge number of options available to us in terms of CRM and marketing tools and, what have you.
Yeah.
So we had to prioritize and look at it from the customer's point of view as to what would really enhance customer experience. So we used that lens in order to prioritize what we were going to do on the technology front. And then we looked at how is it that we're going to add value to the customer even though we were not present physically. So that's when we looked at how our teams could collaborate, both our back-end tech team and our front-end teams, to understand the likely customer journeys. Pre-COVID, customer would walk into the store and he would have his bunch of questions. During COVID, what remained was this knowledge at the retail front, but was not available to the tech team at all, or the team that was handling the various functions on the back end. So we got them together and to see how they could collaborate and see what are those journeys that we could solve from the tech point of view, so that the customer's journey continues to be as seamless and as painless as possible. So these are 2-3 things that we have done. Of course, we have various other strategies that we are putting in place now in order to repurpose the physical footprint we have in the post-COVID world, but that we could talk about a little later.
Sure. Thank you, Nikhil. And speaking of the strategy, and very nicely you brought up the point of the journey maps. One of the things which we also notice with many of our clients and organizations is customer journeys is often an afterthought. And especially when you want to think about a mix of online, offline model. And Avnish, as you mentioned, Omni-Channel. While this seems to be a minutia, but this has been an area which many people have tried dabbling with, especially with the physical stores moving on to the e-com side. So I want to pick your brain, Avnish, that in your business where it's all about viewing and buying, at least I believe it, unlike the apparel online businesses, and that too in a very niche, which is ethnic wear. What has been some of your strategic inputs, interventions owing to the past 7, 8 months in the light of the way business needs to operate now?
Yeah, Abhinav, just to give you a small this thing, because when you talk about ethnic wear, it's all related to weddings,
Yeah,
festivals, occasions,
very contextual,
meeting,
very
greeting,
occasional. Yeah,
very occasion wear. And when you
yeah,
talk about something that you wear apart from your formal or office wear, the reason you buy occasion wear is probably to show people. And when
mm,
there is nowhere to show people, and that reduces your whole consumption. So I
that's right.
think today I remember in the earlier days during any webinars that we used to do, I saw a lot of ladies wearing even their night suits and just having a dupatta on. And they used to portray that they're wearing the whole ethnic garment. So I said, if people start wearing only dupattas, so that we have to create only a category of dupattas. So it was a very challenging time, initial time. Yes, the first 2 months of COVID, zero sales. We never seen such kind of days, and suddenly you come to know that you are losing on a lot of festivals that used to come from that period till now. Now
Yeah,
that Diwali had come, so everybody was on their toes in the months of October and November. But initially also we lost a lot of occasions and dates of weddings and everything, because India is a very ethnic traditional kind of a market when it comes to the sentiments of weddings or occasions. Even a first birthday, even an anniversary, even a wedding, I think everything is so planned in terms of dates and times. And again, one more thing, India is all about showing, like I said. So weddings are 500,000 people, 2,000 people. And now when you just say that you're going to just do a wedding of 20 people, 50 people, 100 people,
yeah,
so that again takes our consumption down. So I'm giving you these examples just to give
yeah,
you a thought that how the consumption has gone down because of the COVID protocol,
that's
not
right.
because something has happened. So COVID has pulled all these consumption triggers. And then suddenly, when there are no cash flows and you're sitting and, everybody here is just on their toes, nobody can sit idle. The minds and brains of the whole team is working. So you come out with categories. For example, we came out with masks. So we came out with masks matching our dresses with the ethnic garments. We came out with masks, which were very initial PR. I still remember 22nd, 23rd of March, and I think 31st March, we were back in the offices taking permission for all of our units and starting to make masks. And in fact, we were one of the first fashion companies to start masks in the country, and also start distributing it for free, and then getting it as a product in our stores. So that was one. And then once things opened, we realized the occasions are less. People might want to choose a lot of low ticket value and fast fashion. So then is when we paid more attention to our category called everyday ethnics. So
Okay.
that is one category which was more like fast fashion. So it is everything under the MRP of 5,000, and the whole production line went into creating stuff which is everything with the MRP below 5,000. And also because when we realized online is also more of a less ticket value. So if we had to rage into that market, so we had to pay attention on the pricing. That is the main thing. So which is why we got more into that. And also again, a very big this thing also, because the 60-year-olds, the 50-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, the more the age, people were less allowed to come outside and everything. Even now they are still, it's a hindrance to them to come out and shop. So that has also been our big hit, because when you come for a ethnic or a wedding shopping, you always go with 4 5 people's gang, and you actually
Yeah,
end up sitting, and your one attire of wedding, there are 6 people deciding on one bride and one groom. And when you don't have your elders, who are the actual ticket value people, so they can just give a credit card and swipe a 1 lakh rupee lenga on their cards, so those people are sitting home. So it's a boon for us. So I think there were many fancy things that were happening around. But one good thing I think out of all this was, one, our seriousness on Omni-Channel, like you said. I think you might have some another points on those where I can throw light on.
sure.
And second is, we had serious buyers. So because there was nobody coming for window shopping, you had only those customers who wanted to buy from your store. So those were the ones coming out to shop. Let it be malls, let it be high street, let it be our flagship stores. Everywhere is what we saw. The trend was only the serious people were coming in, and any kind of communication with the customers was all through, like how Nikhil said, through WhatsApp. We didn't leave any stone unturned. Everybody was just trying to do everything possible in their hands, play with the data that they had. We had the whole MIS team working 24/7 just to get the data out of each city, each place. And we also realized a lot of metro people, metro city crowd had actually went to the tier twos and tier threes. For example, somebody living in Bombay to live for 3 4 months in a 400 500,000 square feet apartment, vis-a-vis having a good family home of about 500 or 1,000 square yards. back in the tier 2, tier 3. So all were there. And suddenly people saw a rage in tier 2, tier 3 towns. The sales were increasing because most of them were back in the towns,
Yeah.
and the metro city sales were kind of fluctuating a lot. So I think many analysis, many analytics, but end of the day, I think now many things have come to a good conclusion, and we have realized which were the avenues which we didn't do for so many years and we had to do now. So we've taken steps for that, including online marketplaces and omni-channel, everything. We were zero on that a year back. Now the whole team is just working for that. So let's see how it goes. Yeah.
It brings a smile on my face, and you know why? Because I'm in consulting, and Nicholas would relate to it. One of the things is to sell to the clients. And this, I remember this conversation with most of the retail stores saying, guys, why would you look at experience and why would you look at certain tools? Like Nikhil, you also mentioned you were bombarded by a lot many marketing tools, CRM tools, so and so forth. But then I would say, God forbid, another instance like this in the world. But this has suddenly, it just brought, like, you have no other option but to do all what you have been not doing, willingly, not willingly, unwillingly, whichever way, from past decades. I won't say not even years, but decades. And suddenly you saw that the knowledge questioned, awareness questioned, it did really move from having tribal knowledge about these topics by reading an article or a Google, really into doing some of the use cases which matters to you, to your bottom line, either to the EBITDA, to the bottom line, or simply speaking, how do you mention the sales? Nicholas, let me come to you, and because you are sitting at a place where you're providing the enablement to the likes of the other businesses which we have on the panel. Um, in your experience, what kind of expectations or what kind of a trends did you notice, especially from the customers' expectation from the brands, and what kind of experiences, trends you see customers expecting from the brands to deliver back to them?
Well, I want to first start off by saying I'm humbled by the gents sharing their stories. I think each of them have shared some amazing insights in terms of some of the challenges that businesses have been under globally. And a lot of the stories I'm hearing here today are what similar being echoed, whether it's in Thailand or Singapore, Australia. So again, I really appreciate you gents sharing those stories. And again, it is interesting. I was thinking as you guys were talking, I was thinking about the beauty of the free markets. I love how industrious we can become when we're faced with adversity. How we can come together as teams. And that's where I think partnerships are a really important part of the mix. In terms of, again, what you guys have touched on, I think is really important message here is that it's a combination of people, process, and technology needs to come together. It's not one or the other. You need to be thinking about all three. But also the point that was made earlier, what we've seen is also the consumers are changing, and they have been changing for some time. But I think even one of the things we've seen out of COVID-19 is that forced adoption of technology, even from the consumers that may have been slow to adopting. So if you look at some of the baby boomers and the Gen Xers that hadn't adopted technology, they've been forced into really using technology to basically survive, to purchase those goods that they needed. So we're seeing a massive transformation. It's crazy when you think about it, end to end from, but in terms of where, I think we've touched on some of these points here. It really is an opportunity for us to take a look and start thinking about, first and foremost, who are our customers and really understanding them. I think you've got to go back to that always. And what is driving them, really having a, I think you've touched on your passion for design thinking as customer journey mapping, persona. I share a similar passion there. I think you're really understanding your personas of your customers, spending time and really understanding them and then looking at their journeys, because that journey now is channelless. We talked about Omni-Channel. Omni-Channel is definitely an important strategy. I think, it has been too technology orientated, if I'm honest, and I'm a technologist, I'm coming from that. I think we got to go back to thinking of in terms of people, process, and technology, not a new concept. But I think we forget sometimes we get caught up in the technology element and forget about those core elements. So where I look at the brands that are really succeeding, and more importantly, the ones that navigated this, interestingly, there's a brand in Australia called Ascent Group. They've had about 400 retailers across Australia. They've been on a 5-year transformation, digital transformation. And they navigated it pretty pretty amazingly when you look at what happened. I mean, Australia was in lockdown similar to India, but their digital sales went through the roof, and they were able to flex their business model because they had laid that foundational groundwork. So I think that's some of the lessons that we can take out of this. The positive side of this is how do we adapt our business models, and how do we use technology smartly? Yeah, again, that's where I think we've got to look at it. It's not the be all end all, but selecting the right technologies and the right partners as well. This is the other thing, how do you bring the right, consulting companies, the technology companies, and then ultimately your own people together to really reimagine your business model. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And in fact, speaking of digital transformation as the umbrella topic, and I'll get in Dharmender and Nikhil once again here. The whole O2O shift, which is offline to online, there is some catching up to be done by many of the businesses, depending upon which sector we are talking about. I still remember the days when Magento or Shopify used to be the choices of the enterprise, and in fact, not the let's say tier 2 or tier 1 businesses still, which were very heavy on the physical stores. But one of the things which I did notice, very similar pattern, like Avnish, Nikhil, you mentioned, latching on whatever is available, whether it's WhatsApp, it's video call, Zoom calls, whatever calls. But then still it is not an answer to a complete online business model, which probably should have been or could have been the answer to the business, progressively speaking. So one of the things which comes to my mind, Dharmender and Nikhil, is as we see this mix of offline continuing and maturity to be gained by the online models, what have you seen today? Do you see any of these disturbing the footfalls which you used to have earlier? Or does it give you a promise of another level of footfalls which you may not expect offline, but can continue to build a different kind of persona online? So some views from your side, Dharmender and Nikhil, on that front.
So Abhinav, footfalls is not like usual now. I don't see those kind of weekends. I don't see those kind of festival shopping as Avnish mentioned. But conversions has gone up drastically.
And that's interesting to see.
Yeah, people who step out, comes to a store, has something in mind, they complete the shopping and just go.
Yeah.
So conversions has improved. Footfalls is not there. But then footfalls in terms of our visits digitally, if I count, that's gone multifold.
Yeah.
O2O, we always had those tablets where you can browse of the catalog. Some size is not missing in the store, some color is not missing. The store manager used to guide and help them complete the transaction. They could pick from the store or deliver at their places. Post-COVID, what great thing happened? These large e-commerce players like Amazon and Flipkart also integrated with our O2O network. So my sales were multifold. My stores were shipping orders to my O2O platforms, my own customer who were coming directly to us, and the customers from Flipkart and Amazon's as well. The advantage they and my brands got, retail always has a different line of product than what they sell online. They were able to explore the entire catalogs and collections. We were still selling products which were not as highly discounted as you usually see on the e-commerce channels, because they were specially made for retail. But the customer who had a mindset and had a taste of those products were shopping for it. Yeah. So those transitions I've seen, and see, endless aisles has practically become now an endless aisles. My store has endless aisle towards my catalog, and towards the customer, then I have an endless option of consumers being visiting my stores daily. So that's the transformation I've seen post-COVID.
Nikhil?
Right. So, Abhinav, interesting question. And I'd like to try and talk about physical stores in the post-COVID world. But before that, first of all, I echo what Dharmender was saying, that the footfalls are far lower than what it was. However, people who are visiting us are a lot more serious. There's a lot less window shopping. They come in with an intent to buy. They come in having done a lot more research online. So that's a very positive thing, and it forces us to up our digital game, whether it's on the content side, whether it's our ability to tell the story online before the customer walks in. Once upon a time, retail was called location, location, location. I mean, people would say retail is all about location, location, location. But today, I believe physical retail is going to be about ratings, reviews, and reach. Okay, that's the way I would look at it.
Yeah.
And the way you're going to improve your ratings and reviews is really only when you have satisfied or delighted that customer online or probably offline previously. And I do believe that there is going to be a surge in physical retail over the next couple of years, not immediately, but maybe after a few quarters. But you will have to up the game on the digital front for customers to discover you online, know what you do online, may have experienced you online, and then will want to come and transact with you offline. So I think it's going to come full circle, where digital presence is going to be crucial for your offline presence.
Absolutely, and I do agree. And speaking about that, I do also very interesting research report, because pandemic was also a time where everybody was bombarded with the point of views. There were several point of views floating around how the world will change. One of them, which consistently dominated the market, was the buying and the spend would be more conscious driven than actually just being on a penny. And therefore the research, how people get influenced during their buying cycle, especially till the time they are truly a lead from a prospect, is what going to matter. And therefore it's important that knowing your customer early in the buying life cycle, engaging with them by direct or indirect means, continues to be one of the areas which I think retailers are still dabbling with. Avnish, if I can bring you in at this point in time, when you were talking about you went into the mask production immediately in the month of March. Well, looking at the end of the year, it's a time for festivities. Have has there been a conscious intervention or a strategy or a thought keeping what you produce as a product category? Because there are other producers as well which are online, and they do continue to operate in the Indian market, serving about most of the world from here. Um, have you also made an attempt to understand from your customers that what kind of technology interventions or patterns or behaviors they would like to see from your point of view, from the business point of view, and would you be okay, or have you already thought to bring them in as you continue to serve your customers? Because very, very, as I said, occasional driven product category which you have. How do you extend more and bring them closer to what customer will continue to do? What kind of strategy you have got there?
That's actually a great question, Abhinav. I'll just put you in one liner. What I don't know, it's from us, but maybe for others as well. I think till now, pre-COVID, we were all having an affair with online, but now it's time to get married.
Oh,
So you can have an affair which is not so serious, but today it's time to get married to online. You need to be serious with the coming online, and channels like Omni-Channel are really pushing our missed sales and missed revenues, and they have been a very good plug-in revenue, like how Dharmender said. It's been like a plug-in revenue to all our existing stores.
mhm.
So earlier, if you ask me, I think the biggest challenge for ethnic wear is, if you recollect personally, I think all of you going for a ethnic wear shopping, you see the kind of salesmanship and the convincing power the sales team holds over the customer. And when we go online or digital, then is when we realize that that service is not going to be there online. So what is going to be a substitute to that? So how can I skill up my salesmanship over online, and how can I convince my customer to buy a particular product? So then is when we realize that there are a million social influencers in the country,
Yeah.
and ethnic wear, because we belong to fashion and more to the glamorous side of retail business, and we have a couple of brand ambassadors on board. For example, we have Sonam Kapoor as a brand ambassador for the brand right now, and how we realize is how she can approach to our customers and kind of give a message that Neeru's is doing something different. Maybe the mask, maybe the new everyday ethnic wear that we've come up with, or even the tie-ups that we did with marketplaces. So how can she play a role in telling the customers because now, for example, she has a following of more than about 10 million, 15 million people over Instagram. And anything she posts, we know that it's going to get a quick response to us. And probably when I'll just share an incident when we were doing this big days with all the marketplaces, and when we had that message come out and she was trying to project that we are doing something like this, so the sales just jumped. So those 6 days of sales accounted to the 2 months of sale, what we could do with all the online players. So, these little things that are coming up are really strong. And now it's a digital era. All our millennials, everybody is hooked on to Instagram, Facebook, and various other social avenues that you have digitally present. And so many influencers, so many celebrities getting all this. So I think ethnic wear has a little charm in showing and representing over digital. So we had to work a lot on our cataloging. We had to work a lot on our presence over the pictures that we upload. Because like I said, if I'm missing on the salesmanship, I need to have the right picture for the product. So that is what convinces my customer to buy. So even on our own website or all on the marketplaces, our effort is only that we should achieve the right picture qualities so that the customer sees it and takes it. It's not like a white shirt, and a white shirt is going to look white on every kind of a platform. But when you talk about ethnic, there's so much intricacy, so much embroidery, so many things on one garment. If it's not seen well, nobody's going to put a price tag to that. And secondly, in the omni-channel business, what we do, a huge initial problem was the discounting and the price variance. So at times, you have a two different team working in your headquarters, and one is handling the omni-channel, one is handling the retail store. And suddenly, if the customer order pops up and it's at $100, and suddenly the delivery guy says this is 100 minus 30, that's the discounting happening over your marketplaces. So the customer kind of immediately stands there and checks what's the price of Neeru's garment on a Flipkart, Myntra, or Ajio, and then there's this debate. So this initial hiccup that we had for pricing and discounting, that became a major challenge initially. Now that when we have it all under control, so I think these are teething problems that we all faced. But I think somehow it has all gone very plain vanilla, and everybody has started to understand this concept. And even in the period like Diwali, Dussehra, and the big Rakhi, Karwa Chauth, the impact of all these festivals. I think 15th October to 15th November was like 30-day IPL for Indian retail. You had to win every day. You couldn't lose it. So that every day was a big deal. And somehow that social influencing helped us as a brand to get additional sales. And that's how we moved on.
Fantastic. And, doing so, I've also seen that most of our, at least my clients who have been able to serve in the retail sector, one of the impediment in order to react and act so fast has been their ability to take decisions, and also some sort of a strong ecosystem being in place which can make them or act as a decision support system. It's not in somebody's mind who is calculating what should be the discount pattern, what should be the pricing pattern. It has to be a very calculative computer. Nicholas, let me take some of the wisdom from you that what kind of technology roadmap in terms of enablement or the presence of the systems in the backyard right to the front office? What kind of use cases have you heard recently from most of the businesses who are trying to be omni-channel? How much of it is really a mix of artificial intelligence, predictive inciting, and do they really have enough data in order to be very successful in getting the discounting pattern right, pricing pattern right, mix right, so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think, look, definitely from a technology perspective, we couldn't be living in a better time. I mean, the technology is there now in terms of being able to deliver those insights. Some of the challenges that you still see exist, and it was actually, really, really great to hear some of these insights just shared, is that we still have some internal silos that we have to knock down in order to really harness the data that we're collecting. Because every day our customers are sharing data with us. Yeah, actual fact is a data point that I have that 81% of customers are willing to share data with us. Yeah, they're willing to share it with us, but they need to see something in return for that. And we got to understand that. I talk often about the need to create this idea of brand utility. We've got to stop going from where we shout about our brand and look how awesome we are, and start listening to our customers, truly listening. And And again, we've got all these amazing channels to be able to really listen, to our customers. All of these, in particular, social channels that we were just touching on. And we take those insights, we digest that data that we get through those channels, and also the other data that exists in the organization. And then, to do that, we have to knock these silos down. Gartner coined this term dark data. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but basically it's talking about the siloed nature of how data is stored in our organizations. And I really loved it because once you understand that, and once you start collapsing that, you can then start really harnessing that data to really move, not just to, today we have to deliver personalized experience. That's table stakes. What I'm challenging customers to think about is how do you individualize that experience? And you can do that through the smart use of information that they're providing you. And I'll share more data with you if I see something come back out of that. So back to your point around recommendations, this is where, from an Adobe perspective, we've heavily invested in Sensei as our core AI product. From a Magento commerce perspective, we're baking that into our commerce engine now, so that it enables retailers to really start making smart recommendations to customers based on their behavior and how they're engaging, whether it's recommending a product based on past purchase history, what they've viewed, what's trending, and matches that type of segment I'm sitting in. So there's a really great way of using that data now. Now, obviously, machine learning takes time. It only gets as good as the data you're putting in and how often you feed data into that. Again, I want to set expectations here. AI doesn't work like that. I think often vendors sell their technologies. Oh, I plug this in and automatically everything's going to go green. It takes time, and you've got to refine the data and let the machine learning work. But what we do see is some amazing results. If you do that, you can start to see it. And that actually influences all the way through to content creation. I think someone touched on that earlier. What type of content works, again, and how do you create that content, get that content out? So really think about digital experience end to end, from content to creation. Fulfillment is very much what we're talking to customers about, but AI definitely is going to play a bigger role in that going forward for sure.
Yeah, great. And I think in that line, we've got started some audience questions coming in. And in the essence of time, if you all permit, let's go with the questions then. Is that all right?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. So the first one is very interesting. I have in front of me is that how do we measure customer delight in omni-channel retail operations? Yeah, Dharmender, do you want to take a guess?
Yeah, so there are NPS modalities. We work on some engines with our CRM partners. We keep taking feedback. We keep sharing links, and people who have recently purchases, people who have not come to us for the last 6 months, dormant customer, recent customer, active customers. All these data we do, and within the segmentation, we do keep sharing links which a small percentage fills up and get back to us and submit it. We keep generating data for our NPS scores, and we generate NPS score of our store manager, our store staff, for our product and merchandise and overall brand perspective. So there are tools and functionalities available.
Okay. Nikhil, anything from our side, if you experienced?
So, what we have been doing is look at customer experience from a holistic point of view. So we look at customer experience online at the end of the transaction, customer experience offline at the end of the transaction. We look at other touch points such as social media, calls coming in and what the sentiment is. So it's really every month we look at this in entirety and not specifically in a particular channel. And we have a score for each channel. And then we are able to look at it in one view to see what we need to tweak in order to improve customer experience. So there's not one thing. So it could be NPS, could be Google reviews, could be a bunch of other metrics that needs to be used on an overall basis.
Great. Maybe this could be for Nicholas. We have another one saying, please share some best practices from operations technology standpoint to improve customer experience at store.
Some best practices. Well, I'll give you a formula, a free bit of consulting. OP plus NT equals EOP. old process plus new technology equals expensive old process. So I'm going to go back to what I've said. If you're going to look at connecting the back and front offices to deliver a great customer experience, you have to think about that. You do have to think about one customer, one experience, one enterprise. So it doesn't matter how big your company is, whether it's a large company or small. If you come in it with that mindset, I think it's really important. And really think about, I'm going to keep hammering this point home, really investing in your people. In a day, it's a people business, yeah? And it's about not just your customer experience, it's also about your employee experience. I think all the gentlemen here agree. We need to empower our employees to deliver on the brand promises they're making each and every day. Yeah. And to arm them with the right information, the right insight, to have effective conversations with their customer or with one another about how they adapt their business model is really important. So I think also thinking about the employee experience is equally important. So yeah, that's my sort of bit of advice. That formula has served me well and saved companies I've worked previously lots of money, because we use that as our touchstone when it came to the transformation we were driving.
Great. So there's another interesting one, and maybe very operational insight driven. How to overcome the service gaps despite implementing the Omni-Channel, and how do you prepare the backend or the team who operates backend for handling these services and the products?
I'll take this question. You need a robust backend. You need a very strong service provider network. So for shipments, we have ShipRocket and other partners. For order management, you use tools which are very robust and are seamless CRM. The biggest challenge, see, operation, there are several tools. We use GoFind, FIND, for order management. There is Rubicon. There is Magento backend operations available. The biggest challenge here is reconciliation, because on Omni-Channel, a lot of, and for a retail, most of the orders we sell, there is very personalized selling, and the returns are less than 2% for us. For Omni-Channel, the returns are 20%. Customer buys, tries, there are RTOs, delivery boy goes, ring the bell, they say, I'm not available, come back tomorrow, and delivery boy doesn't attempt sometimes. So 20% is the returns. So biggest challenge is there, and the reconciliation becomes a bigger challenge. Operational, there are very, very strong and robust systems available right now. And you need to identify a strong partner and a strong POC centrally in your system to make sure all these systems talks to each other's rooms seamlessly.
Yeah. Great.
I think I second Dharmender on that, because the thing is, even we are facing similar issues. So we have somebody like Find who is monitoring that for us. And, there are different channels, and your offline staff is not used to this. So, they have to be well-trained because one order loss is a big loss to their own store sales. So, earlier it used to be that if I'm fulfilling the order, whether am I getting the sales in my store or am I just doing something good for my company? So once they know that the sales is coming to their own store, they're giving their extra effort to actually reach their targets. So it has to be a leader-driven, target-driven model, wherein, if you are able to give them a target and they're achieving that or overachieving that, they have to be recognized. And it's more like a Urdu model, it goes from right to left. So if you end up giving them good incentives in what they're doing, then I think you will get right once you come to the left. So you have to incentivize the channel, and also reconciliation, like how Dharmender said, that has been the biggest challenge initially. Now, I think with people joining in and a lot of technology solutions, I think that has also neutralized, I think, Pan India. Many common softwares that are available that I think many of us are using, that has made the process more smoother now.
Yeah. So on that note, Avnish, let me come to you. And I know you mentioned this somewhere in your narration. One of the question is, do you keep the pricing of the product same when sold online as well as offline?
The challenge is not the MRP. The challenge is the discounting. The MRP is same. What happens usually is, because when you're dealing in different price products, like for example, at Neeru's, we sell everything from a 500 to a lakh. So, when the pricing goes higher, might be some of our stores, and when they're buying from Omni-Channel, they have the technology error, the human error, that the discounting has not been updated in certain kind. So that challenge was a big challenge for us in the past 2-3 months to get it neutralized. MRPs are same, of course. Being a one single brand, you cannot talk two prices on two platforms. If something is for $100, it is $100 everywhere. And what you give 100 minus 10, 100 minus 50 is a different story. So that has to be, if you ask from a retailer point of view, it's all about the aging of the product. Because this year, OTB, what we usually follow, open to buy, has been literally 10 or 20% for majority of the fashion and apparel retailers as of I have the data. And everybody was just questioning the OTB. So it's the aging of the product. So it's a human error along with the technology error that has made this very uncomfortable. But I think everybody's now come to a common solution, and we are trying to keep that at neutral, this thing. Yeah.
Abhinav, I like to add the prices. Sure. All the brands try to make the pricing, what's selling at retail and the digital world, almost the same. But at a store, you always find a better surprise. Some GWP, gift with purchase, some cashback offers, some buy two, some additional off, which are not very comfortable configuring online. So if you step into the store, you will find some bigger surprise.
Absolutely. I'm going to do a quick time check, but there's one interesting question which I think I'll leave to all of you to answer, because you would have something else to add. It is, what emphasis is being done or being given to maintain the quality of the products online, rather than getting just best prices or cheaper prices in e-commerce? So I think mainly it's about how do you ensure the quality of the product remains same. Maybe it's more relevant from the luxury product, Nikhil, what you do, or the manufacturing, Dharmender, what you do, and Avnish, what you also produce. So I leave to all four of you to respond to this question.
So let me quickly go with that. For us, it's very simple. What we sell offline and what we sell online is absolutely the same.
Right.
It cannot be different. So much so that online we take even more care to ensure that the product, the packaging, and everything is absolutely 100% sorted. Because we could experience a high percentage of returns if we don't get it 100% right. So in offline, because you have the customer in front of you, you can still tell him about a defect or a scratch or a blemish here and there. Yeah. So as far as we are concerned, it's absolutely 100% the same.
It has to be same. There cannot be the other way around.
Yeah, but if I bring the whole angle of the fraudsters in between, maybe especially applicable to the aggregators, not the self-promoted businesses, maybe this question becomes more important there. Quality per se, what you sell offline, what you sell versus online.
The quality cannot be a perspective. As Avnish also mentioned, there are certain price points which sell very well on online. When customer comes at the store, and he tends to increase his price basket, or he would prefer to select a higher price point product when he has two things in hand to compare. Online still people tend to have a safe price bracket. Search also have some price. You select between 500 to 1,000, and they'll see same results and they buy at the same price points. But the quality cannot be compromised. There is no reason. You have to be actually a better quality.
To add on to that, Abhinav, what exactly, like for example, what we did is to get more into the price point business. So we not damaging the quality, but we have come up with a different range that we really want to focus with the online market. So might be that if I had 100 or 200 or 500 SKUs existing with me, which could go online, and I felt that it's a barrier. Without 2,000, 3,000 SKUs on a marketplace, you cannot drive those numbers of sales. So what do we do now? So what we figured out is we need another 1,000 to 2,000 SKUs, might be exclusive to particular marketplace or exclusive to only online. And we tried to manufacture that, do a sampling, do a manufacturing without damaging the quality, but coming out with that particular price range and that whole concept. Like for example, 0 to 3,000, 2,999. So everything from 599 to 2,999, we have come up with more than 400 and 500 SKUs in each category, like saris, lehengas, suits, kurtis, just for the online business. So that is what a brand can do. But coming down on quality, I think a good brand will never put the hands on. Like
They
how
can't afford
Mr.
it.
Nikhil
Yeah.
also said, we
Yeah.
can't afford returns. We can afford selling, but we can't afford returns.
That's correct. Absolutely. Great insight. And gentlemen, I think we are just at the top of the hour, about a minute left. I can't be more thankful and grateful for your sharing your own stories very candidly and speaking from your insight. Thank you very much from my side. Shiv, I can take an opportunity to hand it over back to you if you want to conclude. Otherwise, we are good for now.
I'll have to run along. Thank you so much, Abhinav, and nice meeting you, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Nikhil.
everybody.
Thanks,
Have a good
Abhinav, for
evening.
conducting this,
Bye.
moderating
Take
this
care,
session.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Avnish,
everyone.
for
Bye.
Thank you.
Good evening.
joining on us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Nicholas.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you.